Okay, thank you. So we will call this meeting to order and asking for any proposed amendments to the minutes as submitted. Not seeing any, we will approve the minutes as submitted. And now we will move on to the agenda. Next item for Robert Owen. I see your hand up.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. My name is Robert Owen. I live at 1311 Middleton Street. Here tonight to support Good Trouble for Middleton in the form of using less or lower embodied carbon concrete in city buildings and infrastructure and encouraging the private sector in Middleton to do likewise. Using less and lower carbon concrete may be seen as trouble by some in public works, but it is good trouble in the broad sense that the late Congressman John Lewis used that term. I use it to honor him here. We need to get the carbon out of Middleton concrete in several ways. Reduce its use in new buildings by such means as using mass timber instead. This applies to potential new buildings in the civic campus facility. It also applies to specifying lower carbon concrete alternatives in streets, curbs, gutters, and sidewalks and other civil works. And it involves requiring the certification of embedded carbon content by building material suppliers and concrete suppliers for the city. Those three steps can reduce our embodied carbon footprint. The city can also encourage likewise encourage like activity in the private sector by cleaning up its own embodied carbon. So that's all I have to say tonight. Thank you for permitting me to speak.
Okay, thank you. Let's move on to the staff report. Who has questions for Kelly? Comments, feedback? Oh, Dick?
Yeah, I just have one question, Kelly, on the project where we're working on trying to put renewable energy and more efficiency in these apartments and things. We gave some light bulbs, right, to Sustain Dane or whoever was working on it. How did that go and how did they get distributed? Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, I dropped them off at the apartment units. I believe there's one more address of a property owner where they need dropped off. Just need to make contact with them. But they all have their bulbs and it went well, and it initial feedback is that the property owners and tenants are appreciative of that and all the work so far. Sustain Dane did a survey, and I don't think they've put it all together and sent it to me yet, but they've just provided some narrative on that during meetings, saying that everything has been going pretty positively. So that's all the feedback I have on the light bulb.
So your sense is that all the LEDs that we had, which we gave so that they could get them to the apartment units, that the tenants are actually taking advantage of that and swapping out incandescents and maybe some compact fluorescence. So if we did get some value out of the bulbs we had.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I haven't been in the units to see, and I won't be able to do that to verify, but I think with our new batch of participants, and then if we do any final surveys or talking to everyone, we can ask a specific question about the light bulbs.
Well, I would just ask that when you get an opportunity to, just get some follow-up, it would be nice to get some final sense of how it was received. Yeah, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Laura?
I just had a couple of questions on how the Sustainable U talk went at the library, kind of what was covered, just kind of a basic overview. And then also you're going to be speaking, it said, to the next cohort for lead cities on the 13th. Where is that going to be?
Well, firstly, the Sustainable U Talk, I think, went well. There were 26 that signed up. I think there were maybe 20, 21 that showed up to the event. People seemed pretty engaged. I did get some feedback afterwards with personal emails from participants who said they had no idea that all of this was happening in Middleton, and they were really excited about it. There were several people I know of from Madison who came because they heard about it in the press in Madison and so drove out to the event in Middleton. And some people have called asking for my slides, and a couple people have asked if I could do the same talk with condo associations that they're a part of and another community group that they're a part of. So it always is helpful to do this. It just spreads the word in a variety of ways. You never know what it'll lead to. And then the lead talk I'm giving is this Thursday, and it's just online, and it will be to the new cohort of National Lead Lead for Cities participants. So I can't remember. I looked at the list briefly. They're all over the country, and one of them is La Crosse, Wisconsin. So that would be the second Wisconsin city seeking Lead for Cities certification, which is exciting. And then right now I'm in Chicago. I speak tomorrow at the March of Dimes maternal and baby health conference here. I'm on a panel to talk about combining public health work with energy efficiency work in rental housing.
Cool. I mean, can we get a copy of those slides? I had hoped to attend, and then of course something came up at the last minute I had to go to. And I just kind of want to know all what was, like I said, covered just in general, like you said, to pass it on or to talk to other people. So I'd like to see those slides, and like I said,
Sure.
good luck with the other lead ones as well. Thanks.
Yeah, it was really it was hard to choose things, and I felt bad because I just wanted to talk about everything, but it's too scattered for an hour talk. So I mostly talked about the housing and sustainability intersection, and I gave an example with the efficiency navigator and with that, but I also talked about our energy planning process and how that was a really good roadmap to tell us what actionable items we should be working on. And then I went through some like the battery storage, the solar on 3 buildings, and that kind of thing.
Cool. Thanks.
Wonderful, good questions. I would love the slides too, Kelly, so if you wouldn't mind sending them out to the group, the committee, that'd be great. Okay, anyone else have staff report items? No, Tony, go ahead.
Yeah, I just have a question for Kelly. When I read number 2 about the Efficiency Navigator project, and that it's kind of bogged down at the moment, and then read on to number 3, which is the Energy Future Grant that's related to the Energy Efficiency Navigator project. It seems like there's a lot riding on that Energy Efficiency Navigator project. That's what you need to produce from in order to show whatever you're going to show to the Department of Energy sometime next year. And I'm wondering if I'm sure you do have strategies, or maybe there's things the committee, I don't know if there's things that the committee can do, but I was just curious how that's going to evolve from being bogged down to being like a double win. In other words, the Energy Navigator project goes forward, but so does those future grants.
Yeah, the Energy Efficiency Navigator, I think, has been really successful. The only place it's getting bogged down is understanding the financing and procurement for solar And
Wow.
solar is an important piece of bringing tenant energy bills down if you electrify the building, because if you replace gas furnaces, then that can increase electricity costs, not always. But when you add solar, it dramatically reduces energy bills and carbon. But you add the solar after you've done all the energy efficiency work. But the issue that we're all having is how to use federal funds passing through a local government when it has CBOs and nonprofit groups it's partnering with, and yet it's going to a private owner of a building. How can you then take the Inflation Reduction Act rebates on top of the federal dollars to make decarbonization so enticing and, like, I wouldn't say free, but you're getting down to like 70% of a project can be paid for with funds and grants and that kind of thing. So I'm trying to maximize this work as much as I possibly can with grants. And you just have to stack and layer all these financing pieces, but every financing piece then kicks in a different procurement requirement from what federal, state, local, and it's really complicated. And so part of the Energy Future grant that we got was actually to figure some of this stuff out. So it's actually funding for us as a group to figure this out. And part of that will be talking to the Department of Energy about providing better guidance to local governments and nonprofit groups who get these grants for how they're going to funnel this money from the federal government down through the local government to private citizens. It's just so complicated, and no one's doing it yet because all of these grants and the IRA funding has just dropped. So we're all scrambling to figure it out, and it's involved many attorneys and we have a direct line to the Department of Treasury now, Department of Energy, other municipalities, and no one has the full answer. Everyone just has a tiny piece. And I so far have not been able to weave it together, but it's what has to happen in all of these communities so that we can do this work. Otherwise, it looks really good on paper, but you have to know like how to move the money through in the most efficient way. So it's a challenge, but it's also really exciting, I think.
Sounds like an opportunity, a
An
challenge.
opportunity, yeah.
Opportunities. Yeah, so that's really reassuring that those two programs are already linked.
Yeah.
I mean, you're
Yeah.
already using that grant to enhance the Energy Navigator project. And
Yeah, and we
turn
wouldn't
out to
have
solve
gotten
the problem. Yes.
we wouldn't have gotten the Energy Future grant had we not already had the Efficiency Navigator project going. That's what really got us the grant is the Department of Energy recognized, oh, they're really already doing this and they need help to figure out how to really do it and scale it up. So it's really about scaling it up rather than starting from scratch to create a program.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're working on it. I think the chances are it's going to work out.
I think it will.
Good, thank you.
I'd like to jump in just to
Oh, I'm sorry.
piggyback.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Did you
To
have your hand
piggyback-
up? If you did, I'm so sorry. Kermit.
I did the physical hand.
Okay, sorry about
I
that.
was lazy. I didn't reach for my keyboard. Sorry.
That's all right.
Yeah, just piggybacking on the questions and comments about Kelly's presentations and sustainable U and the complexities of bureaucracy. I think it'd be good to put in a plug, and maybe if we can do something to amplify the upcoming Sustainable U event with Kathy Kuntz. Thanks again, Deb. That's going to be looking at organizational, like business level opportunities for the IRA. And I think that could be really strategic to encourage local businesses and nonprofits to become aware of what the opportunities are there. And Kathy's been doing a lot of work to Kathy Kuntz from Dane County Climate and Energy Commission is doing a lot of work to get the word out and try to encourage people to take advantage of these opportunities. And that ties to something that I'm saving as a proposed agenda item for the future, but how do we fulfill our energy resolution beyond the city government and mobilize the city of Middleton in total? And I think that training opportunity, that presentation is a strategic opportunity there as well.
Definitely. Definitely.
So go to it if you can on the 20th at, is it 6 o'clock, Deb?
6 o'clock.
And if you know any business buddies or nonprofits, maybe tickle their ear with the opportunity.
I sent the flyer to the Chamber of Commerce, so I'm hoping they will advertise the event with their members.
Have you been able to do a follow-up call with them?
No,
Make sure they got it and all that good stuff?
no, I didn't.
We could send it to some of the, like, I could send it to the Pfizer, the Sustainable Middleton Award winner, with some others too, but that's one
Yeah.
that comes to mind. Okay.
Sounds good, thanks.
Yep. Lynn, do you still have your hand up? If yes, you're up.
I do now.
Okay.
This is for Kelly on the report. I know this is a long way off. The food composting kiosk doesn't go operational till late 2025 with the grant from the Department of Agriculture. Is the plan, there looks like there's one going to be in Middleton. Is the plan still to have places like schools and grocery stores be the sort of the main users of that facility?
I think it's going to be open to all residents in Middleton. It might even be technically open to all Dane County residents, but and initially they were talking about a movable type kiosk, but now they're getting more realistic and thinking they're going to decide on one spot in Middleton. There'll be other spots throughout the county and have one spot in Middleton and then it'll stay there. And then for at least a year, maybe 2, they will service it and haul all the waste from it to the Purple Cow composting site. And then right now, the reason why the kiosk won't be constructed until late 2025 is that they just hired someone to be the business administrator for this. And they want to make sure that they create a program that is sustained, and that after the initial grants, that they have a system set up so that there's haulers that come and pick it up, and it's not suddenly the city of Middleton's responsibility from any kind of fiscal management. So they're working on the business side of it now. You know, it's really kind of a pilot program, but they hope it's going to be something that lasts and carries on.
Yeah, it could be too successful, like
Yeah.
somebody in addition to Purple Cow might be needed. But
Yes.
okay,
Yeah.
thanks for that.
I think that there might be people sort of circling for that account already. You know what I mean? Like, I think I don't have any answers, and no one really knows what's going to happen, but I think just having this pilot and getting it out there, I think there's a lot of businesses who are suddenly like, we want to be the haulers, and trying to get their ducks in a row, and it's going to create competition and that kind of thing. So hopefully it'll be a good thing coming out of that.
Yeah, I have no doubt that it'll be successful with the public. I'm curious about places like Costco, the schools and groceries, if where they take their food, but that's something I could ask about.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I know it wouldn't be able to, like, you know, be able to take, it's going to be a fairly small kiosk. So hopefully,
Okay.
I think it'll mostly be for individual residents dropping off their food scraps, but who knows? I mean, I really don't know what's going to happen with it.
Okay.
Thanks for that.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that concludes, as far as I can see here, the staff report. So let's move on to the city solar installation purchase. So I'm not sure if everyone has had a chance to review the three options. Has anyone not had a chance and you need a summary? Okay, so I know I have my thoughts on this, and I can just say it. I think after what I've read here, based on what I've read here, I believe option C would be the best option for Middleton. Any other comments, ideas? Kermit, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, unfortunately, I didn't get to reviewing the agenda
Oh,
until
okay.
today.
Okay.
And, but I did get to review it. And part of my takeaway or thought was that, maybe we could consult formally or informally with somebody like, that's part of, Legacy Solar Co-op. I don't know, Kelly, whether that had been considered, but one, there was some mention of maybe we could do an appraisal, but who could do such a thing? And also there was like comments about net present value and what's it worth. And it seems like, to my mind, the Legacy Solar Co-op people have been playing those kinds of numbers and assessing valuations of projects, solar projects, such that they might have some worthwhile advice to give us, and perhaps even a basis for questioning the numbers that MG&E have thrown at us, which they're different than what the city was thinking, so it sounds like they may not be as accurate as we would like. Anyway, so that's so part of the, I guess, in terms of thought, there's also a question of whether the decision needs to be made tonight, or can we extend it and allow time for following up on that consult. I did try to reach out to Peter Fiala and Kurt Reinhold, I think, but you know, it was too short notice. Their office hours were over, and so I didn't get a reply.
Yeah. Those are good thoughts. I mean, we do not have to make a recommendation tonight. We could, you know, get more information. So Dick and then Laura.
Yeah, I mean, I read over the three things and I don't feel qualified to make the best decision. I thought when we originally proposed this that we wanted to be able to save money in the city's budget as well as create energy and reduce our renewable energy, you know, city use, as well as saving money. But the option three, I mean, the maintenance issue and the long-term part, if there's maintenance on this, we would, excuse me, the city would have to subcontract out finding somebody who can do that. And that's kind of scary, thinking, well, maybe this is not the panacea. And as long as we're getting our renewable energy credits for the city, the question is, are we saving money by generating electricity, or is MG&E, you know, keeping extra savings? And that'd be the thing that I'd want to know. I mean, we're allowing our rooftop to be used to generate renewable energy. That's all great, but the city ought to be saving money. And if we're just giving off to MG&E, well, you can develop the electrons and distribute them, and we'll still buy electricity. But if we're not saving money, it feels like somehow MG&E is winning on this. And but the maintenance issue is kind of scary because we don't have the capacity, I'm assuming, to know how to maintain these things. And if there is a problem, we're gonna have to hire consultants. So I would not want to vote tonight on something that I just don't understand. I guess that's where I'm at, and kind of following Kermit's point. I just like to think that we're going to save money because we're allowing our rooftop to be used, and there is some risk of a rooftop developing a leak or something or else. And it seems like the business model ought to be, hey, we've got rooftops, we want to generate electricity here, but the owner of the rooftop, if it's a private business, ought to benefit by saving money. In this case, the owner of the rooftop is the city of Middleton, and the city of Middleton ought to save money rather than just providing a platform where MG&E can generate their own electrons, and we take credit for it, but we don't get any savings.
That's a fair point. Laura?
My question is kind of along those lines. I wanted to first start with a basic, because I read through it, and as you read through it, if this is all the information you have, it does sound like C is the best option. And then it says, from a financial perspective, city staff recommends option C. Does that mean all of staff? Does that mean finance? Because I mean, the way it's written, it's like, okay, maybe we could use that money towards another sustainable project. What projects are we talking about? You know, it says, yeah, investing that 76,000 in another project. Do we have a project? Kind of along the lines with Dick's thinking is, I want to make sure that we're getting something out of this other than just credits. So kind of what's your thought, I guess, Kelly, in terms from a sustainability standpoint, assuming that Bill Burns is saying C is the best financial option? Any thoughts there?
Well, Abby Attoon and Bill Burns and I met with MGE, and we went through a lot of spreadsheets, which MGE showed us that arrived at this fair market value, which was higher than what we had originally seen as a estimated fair market value at this time. And some of the reasons why were inverters that have gone down, and MGE's feeling that there would be more maintenance in the future. So they put that into the spreadsheets. Things like performance is always, sometimes the performance is modeled more than what it actually proves. Although I will say that our other solar is outperforming the models. So I don't know, I don't know what to believe or how things are necessarily assessed. But the bottom line seemed to be that that was MGE's offer. The offer for their fair market value was higher than what we currently have budgeted. So even if we wanted to purchase that, we would have to find additional capital money to be able to purchase this. And Bill did calculations to show that if we purchase at this higher price, then it wouldn't be the best fiscal decision for the city to make. So the other option, which I think is B, would be to hire an appraiser, but we would have to get an official appraiser to make that. And there's no guarantee that the appraisal would be beneficial in our favor with a lower price. And then you'd be out the money that it costs to get the appraiser to do the work. And I think Bill was saying it's challenging to appraise this kind of system at this point. All of this, I don't understand all the ins and outs. Bill mentioned that if there were more financial details needed, that would be fine, that he could put that together later. He thought finance would probably want some of that information and council. I think from this committee, staff was wanting a general, to see if there was a general consensus to recommend one of these options. There would, if we don't spend the money on the purchase, then there would be $76,000 in carryover capital funds, which we could put towards another sustainability project. I mean, all of this would be under the condition that council would approve that change anyway. So it's not a done deal necessarily until council would approve that and finance. There's things like street lights, our own LED lights throughout the city. Even though we had transitioned them, a lot of them are having wiring problems right now. And so there's a cost there that's being incurred in different buildings. We don't really have a great clear solar project ready to go on any of the buildings because our community campus is up in the air. And the water utility does plan to put solar on their utility wells, but they're gonna use funding through the water utility, not capital funds. So I don't know, does that answer some of your questions?
It seems to me that, and just the way I read this and what you're saying is, it appears that option C is probably the best fiscal option with the information that we have, and that it's a gamble to try and get somebody to estimate this, and how much money do you want to gamble when you might lose. And yet the point that Dick was making, which I agree, and even you were talking there, how you've got some maintenance costs that are, you know, coming up that you weren't anticipating. That's a fair concern that could happen with this as well. And then I'm thinking, if we don't have $76,000 worth of a project for sustainability in capital, then that might just kind of go away. I mean, it would, part of me is thinking, well, maybe you gamble, we take this, we use the 76,000 for something else in the city, you know, whatever it is for sustainability purposes, that might be a good option. I mean, that was kind of my thought was, well, if we can keep 76,000 for something sustainable that's going to help reduce our carbon footprint, that seems like the least risky option. A seems expensive, B seems riskier, C seems to make the most sense, and it appears Bill Burns agrees with that. That's kind of my logic thinking. I just don't want to lose that 76 where all of a sudden someone comes along and it's like, no, we can do it for something else that has nothing to do with sustainability.
Yeah, that's a valid concern as well. Dick?
Yeah, the one bit of information that I'm not seeing here is, what is the value of the electricity that's being produced? I mean, if we're thinking of a net zero kind of financing on this, is that we save money by generating solar energy on our rooftop, right? So what is that, if we own the thing, how much money is that bringing in? I mean, if in 7 years we've basically paid for this thing and then it's all profit or savings after that. So I'm seeing all this fair market value and this and that, but I'm not getting a sense of what we're actually producing there as a true cost savings on our energy bill, because that to me would be a valuable bit of information. Yes, there's going to be maintenance, but if we're saving, I don't know, $15,000, $20,000 a year, am I wrong of that we're not understanding that here?
The calculation that Bill did was about how much the city would save if we purchased the MGE paid for the installation to begin with 100%, and they installed it for us, and they counted the solar generated on that rooftop within their own fuel mix. And the electrons themselves were going to the police department. But, and I didn't know this until about a year ago, that we can't really claim, we weren't able to really claim that solar energy as part of our percentage of renewable energy, even though it was servicing the police department, because MGE owns that. But the savings, because they're charging us a lot to purchase the solar, we will not see the savings that we had anticipated by, you know, offsetting the electric there. So that's the bummer, is that it's not really, because the price is high, it won't make sense fiscally to purchase the solar.
Yeah.
Just a minute. So,
Yeah.
So if we purchase it, we still don't get the savings from the fact that we're generating now something we own solar energy, it's producing electrons that we use, we're not saving money? I mean, otherwise we have to pay an electric bill. I mean, the police department is using electricity. So if we're producing it on something we own, then we should have a lower electric bill, right?
We would have a lower, we would save money on electricity, but we would still have to, we've paid the $81,733. So it's kind of like the payback wouldn't make sense.
Yeah, but how many years would it, how many years would the savings take to pay back the 81,000?
Did Bill run that? How much, or did you see that? How much additional time would it take to recoup the 81,000? Or would it not?
It would not.
The solar panels would go out of functionality at some point?
He didn't feel that it would be, we would not, you know, after year 7 suddenly be saving $15,000 a year. It just, the numbers don't work when you spend so much money for solar. Like, you know, if I spent $100,000 to put solar on my house, probably fiscally it wouldn't make economic sense. Might be doing it for the environmental benefits. But in this case, MGE offered to just give us the renewable energy credits and take that out of their fuel mix. It's a drop in the bucket, a tiny drop in the bucket for them, but we would have those free of charge. And
Well, we
So
definitely want the energy credits. I mean, that's a bottom line. I mean, we don't want to be producing energy, renewable energy on one of our facilities and not getting the energy credits. That's clear.
I'll insert something really quick, and then I don't know who was next, Kermit or Tony. We'll start with Tony, but Kelly, could we further negotiate with MG&E saying, okay, we'll take option C, but we want you to pay we want a credit for certain maintenance, expected maintenance on it?
we would have to get an appraiser to change the purchase price. We have to get an appraisal. It's like a formal legal thing, I think. And so they're not going to negotiate or drop their price, but they will maintain ownership of it, and therefore they maintain all the maintenance, which in my mind is a pretty big deal that they will be maintaining the solar. I think the points brought up by the committee members are valid and good, you know, thinking about, well, what happens to the roof? If something would happen to the roof, who would, you know, I don't know.
But I suppose the devil's in the details, right? If the roof has a leak, is it the city's problem or is it MG&E's problem? If it's other than just the solar panels. Just a question, maybe that's a
Yeah,
follow-up.
that might be in the contract with that we have signed, you know, because they own the solar on the top of that building. And we have a 58-page contract
Oh,
for that. So I'm sure that there's something in there about that, like who's liable for different things like that. And if you're not ready to make a decision, we can wait until Bill Burns is ready and he can come back with the spreadsheets and analysis and the contract and all that. I don't know if it would change the basic premise here between the 3 options. But you may understand the numbers better.
Yeah, okay, Tony and then Kermit. You're on mute, Tony.
So sorry. As Dick was saying, I have to confess, I mean, I really don't understand the financial maneuvers that are being made. Number one, though, I have doubts about MG&E. If we're relying on them, they're interested in selling high. Number two, I'm a solar, you know, my house has solar. I've had solar for 17 years. 17 years ago, solar was a lot more expensive than it is now. After rebates, it cost me about $25,000 to put a 4.25K unit in, which turns out to be enough to provide all my electricity. So I've paid no bills, basically, with few exceptions. I mean, lately, summers are a lot warmer and I run my air conditioning, but basically I haven't paid hardly anything for electricity. It's like somebody writing me a check every month, you know? I mean, it's free. And the array is paid off. So when I looked at this figure of 81,000, that looks to me like actually maybe not such an inflated. I mean, it's a 100K system. This is a pretty large system. And it produces a lot of electricity.
But it's also 7 years old, right? Is it 7?
7 years old. But my unit is guaranteed to produce at least 80% of its maximum amount for 40 years. And systems are usually guaranteed for somewhere in the range of 30 to 40 years. Anyway, I'm just reflecting with my own experience, what Dick was saying, that everywhere you read the Union of Concerned Scientists, their analysis of solar, it is always better to invest in solar and make the money you can make by producing your own electricity than it is to pay, higher cost, actually pay more for the service of MG&E. The final thing is that maintenance is usually very minimal. My inverter went out once. I had to pay $1,000 to get it replaced. If your roof has a problem, it's not because of solar. I mean, whoever installed this should guarantee the installation. There should be never a leak around any of the bolts or anything that holds that solar on. That should be guaranteed. If the roof is damaged in like a horrendous hailstorm or a wind or something, you do have to remove the solar panels. You have to pay for that, have the roof fixed, and then have the panels reinstalled. So obviously there's a charge for that. But that is a really, the history of rooftop solar is actually really good in terms of maintenance. Generally, they're rather low. So anyway, for all these reasons, when I read this, I really had doubts because as an owner of solar, seems like a really good deal to own it. And after 10 or 15 years, at least, at most, it's paying for itself.
That's a good perspective. Thank you. Let's go to Kermit and then Lynn.
Okay, yeah, I'm tempted to make a motion on the order of I move that we defer deciding until we can have an opportunity to initiate some follow-up consultations, formal or informal, with Legacy Solar or other parties to help give us proper perspective and information on this set of options.
Okay.
I mean, Kermit, why can't we just say we're just discussing it and we just want more information and not make a formal motion, I guess.
I'm torn, but I in part, I'm thinking a motion would give us a clearer sense of closure and plans for the next step that we would all have on the record.
Okay, how about if we hold that thought? We'll get to Lynn as the last hand in the new topics. Go ahead, Lynn, and then we'll come back to that, Kermit. How does that sound? Good?
Let's see, who's our Robert Rules of Order expert? I'll hold that. I will hold the motion, but
Okay. Thank you. Lynn.
Okay, I'll be quick. I'm no expert in this area. It sounds like asking Bill for some kind of projection of like, what is the police energy bill? Similar to a chart that shows how long it takes for an electric car to pay for itself compared to gasoline. It's usually about 6 years. Quick stats, the price of solar has been cut in half in 10 years, but it could ping pong around with, supply chain issues as we've seen during the pandemic. So it's not a for sure thing. But my gut feeling is, and again, I'm no expert, in 15 to 20 years, the appraised value of this roof would be lower than 81,000. If that's the case, we could be building solar elsewhere in the city at that lower price. So it seems, and again, like grab the 76,000 now, but I agree to look at more like friendly charts to be able to be a little more educated about the financial mechanics here.
Which is, I think, where the whole committee is, right? That's what I'm gathering. That seems to be. So Kermit, we'll go back to
Well-
you, right?
Yeah, so I mean, if we want to, my motion was to attempt to capture that and help us kind of put this item to rest until at least next month. And in the meantime,
Yeah,
I mean,
okay.
I will own pursuing getting some kind of feedback from Legacy Solar, and I don't know what other options there might be, but
So
so do we want to be formal with a motion, or do I just say, okay, we're tabling it until next month and
Dick,
I'll get back in touch with you guys, with
I
You,
mean, the
Christine.
agenda item tonight was, right, we were supposed to vote on one of the three options, and we're basically choosing not to vote because we want more information. I mean, it just feels like
right.
somehow we could get a consensus that that's what we want, and Christie or Kelly can just convey that we need more information. But if powers that be feel like we need a motion to say we need more information, we're not voting on it. We chose not to vote on, we've chose not to vote on what was requested of us, and that's, I don't feel like that needs a motion, but I don't care.
you feel like, say that again, you feel like it does not need a motion?
Well, we were asked to vote on
Yeah.
one of these three options, right?
Okay, yeah,
And we're choosing not to vote, and we're
Yeah.
and we would communicate back via Kelly and you that we need more information. We chose not to vote on one of the motions because we didn't have enough information, and we raised other questions like the payback. Tony, I thought your example is exactly what we need to understand is I feel like MG&E is trying to make money, and they can make more money by owning the thing and selling their electrons at their rate. And we could save money by owning it. It just feels like that. And your example, Tony, is just resonates with me. And I, 7, 8 years, we're starting to save money. But I want to know those numbers, and I certainly don't see them in the three things to vote on. And I would not vote on anything that was a motion made tonight on these three options.
okay,
Right.
okay. So Kelly, do you have suggestion on, I mean, it sounds like unless anyone disapproves of what I'm saying here, and please speak up even without a hand, if you do, it sounds like we don't want to vote tonight. Kelly, do we need a motion getting that official, or can we just request more information? Do you have a suggestion?
No, I don't know.
Okay, well, if we did a motion, then we sort of have it covered, right? Is that,
Yeah.
okay? So restate
So-
the motion.
Kelly, did you take down what I ad-libbed earlier, or do I need to recreate it?
I wrote some stuff down, but if you could recreate it, that'd be good, because
Okay.
it wasn't clear.
I move that we defer a decision on the solar array purchase question pending receiving additional information from city staff and external sources that we will reach out to.
Can you put in there, related to the payback period and stuff? I mean, that's what
Well-
we're interested in, right? That's the
Well, if it-
information we want.
I think the net present value yeah, okay, sure.
Okay, Dick, anything we missed?
Well, I mean, it's also implicit, I guess. We want to know how much electricity the city the police department building is using and how much is being generated. I mean, that's all basic facts, and we're not getting that information.
Yeah,
on three motions. So that's
Okay.
part of the payback, but we want to see
Yeah.
this information. So it's basic information on the system, to help us make these decisions.
Okay, let's hear from Deb. Thank you, Dick. Oh, no, Deb, you're on mute.
You're right, I am.
Oh, but you're back. You don't have to go off and come back on.
No, this was part of the settings, I guess. So anyway, I was thinking, Kelly mentioned that the 76,000 might go toward getting those light fixtures converted, the city lights converted over to LEDs. And so I'm thinking, one thing we need to know is if that 76,000 could get us further with paying less money for the streetlights, to offset paying MG&E for the solar panels on the police station. So we could get that done quicker because we'd have the money now versus waiting for another budget year.
That's a very good point. And Laura said that too, do we just want to, hope that we'll be able to keep that money, or can we get a commitment, from the city that we can not us as a committee, but can that money be certainly used for sustainability items? Tony.
Yeah, just real quick. One other factor to put in is that the cost of electricity keeps going up. So, my per kilowatt hour costs more now than it did when I installed my solar 17 years ago. Anyway, you keep making more money because the cost of electricity, and that's not always, obviously we can't project that very accurately, but there are ways I've been told to, to factor that in, that you're not looking at it just in today's dollars.
Great. Okay. So is that, Kermit, go ahead.
I was just, I'd like to call the motion then. I think it's, asking for more information. I mean, it spells out what we're wanting to do. And until we get more information, this discussion is kind of shuffling around, questions that we know we need to get answered. So
Do
I'm
we,
calling the motion.
I'll
Okay.
second it.
okay, second. Do we know exactly, well, Laura, you're gonna third, I guess we could just vote. Okay, all in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
No one opposed. Anyone opposed? No. Kermit?
I'm sorry, I was trying to lower my hand. Somebody put it
Okay,
back.
okay, okay. So Kelly, all square there? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you can let Laura be the second if you want.
Doesn't matter.
She and I were voicing at the same time, and I think I heard her say it first.
Okay, well, that's nice of you. That's big of you, Dick. Okay. All right, let's move on to the next agenda item. Thank you for the robust discussion on that. So I would love to let Laura lead off and take the next agenda item, which is the Sustainable Purchasing Policy Implementation Plan progress.
Okay, so we do have some progress here. I missed the last meeting because I was out of town. We hadn't talked about, did you in the last meeting give an update at all? The May meeting about meeting with the police?
I don't believe we did, right, Kelly?
Okay, so we have met with the police chief and the chief of EMS services. That went very well. Got lots of good information from them. And then we also met with some people from the Citizens Climate Lobby about the, putting in low carbon cement into our implementation plan as well. So I don't know if Bob Owen is still on, but we are working on that and integrating it into the IP. For those of you that don't know, I've decided to do a deep dive into this IP and use it as part of my capstone project for my master's. So I've been reading a lot of journal articles and found a couple of measurement approaches for small municipalities, because one of the problems we're having and some of the questions that came up in staff meetings were, okay, what are we going to measure? Who gets to decide? you know, how much has to be tracked. So there's a lot of variation in these questions. And I found some measurement approaches that kind of help us go from less complex to more complex. So one of the things that I'm working on now is I'm kind of looking at measurement approaches to that and how to do it kind of a little bit over time. I also want to look at the budget and what the city is actually spending. So we've put in a request for me to get the financial records for the city. Like, what are we actually spending our money on? Where should we be focusing our attention here? That was actually something that the EMS chief suggested, which I thought was good. So I am going to be meeting with Alder Hanaro tomorrow to talk a little bit about the budget and finance, because she's on the finance committee. Because some of the things that came up were, well, you know, even if I do plan to replace the boiler with a heat pump, what happens when it goes out and I don't have that money in my budget and it's not in the capital line? So there's a lot of moving parts that complicate it for a lot of staff. So what I'm trying to do is capture all that information, doing pretty good, kind of cross it with some of the academic literature on how local governments can measure it using a sustainability index, which we could do that to take snapshots of how we're doing while we're developing more robust measurement tools. So it's a way to kind of get you started. So I think that we're almost done with staff meetings. I think we still have golf and airport left, but we've made really pretty good review to be able to tie it all together, to organize it. And hopefully I'll have something by the July meeting that has been updated for you to see.
Laura, you just froze. And actually I'm going to cut to Kelly while you hopefully unfreeze. Oh, Laura, you just froze actually.
I just froze.
Yeah.
Okay. Did I tell you my hopeful, but am I
Yes,
frozen again?
Yes. How about this? How about if we cut to Kelly quick on this one,
Okay.
and then we'll come back to you.
Okay.
Okay, Kelly.
Yeah, I tried to raise my hand at the beginning of the discussion, you know, with a Zoom, and I couldn't figure out how to
Oh, I'm
after
sorry.
all these years.
So
It
just
wasn't
speak then.
not where it usually is. It updated recently and I couldn't find it. So I wanted to say at the beginning of this discussion that the Middleton Review, George Zenz, who's on the call tonight, emailed me and brought to our attention that the way we've been conducting the staff meetings with 3 members of the Sustainability Committee violates open meetings laws. And we don't want to do that, obviously. So any future meetings we have will need to put out an agenda, and it will have to be a public meeting. And then we'll have notes that get posted for the public. And then I am providing George Zenz, and all of you as well, all of the notes from the staff meetings we've had to this date, which would include Public Works, the administration, Parks and Rec, tourism, library, and EMS and police. And I'll put those, I'm gonna pass along those notes, and then I'm also gonna put those notes in the July packet for the committee. And then anytime we have a meeting about this in the future, it will have to be public with an agenda. One thing I was thinking that you could do to, if you needed to still talk to the golf department, is you could see if you could get on their committee agenda and speak to their committee in a public meeting and get feedback that way, and do it in an already formulated public meeting. I don't know if they're in person or online at this point, but I can find that out, but they're public meetings. So, that's what I want to do, or what we need to do for any future meetings about this. And I was under the impression that that we were beneath the negative quorum number, but it gets a bit complicated. But if, for say, we had the very bare minimum of quorum at our full committee meeting, that would be 6 voting members present. And you wouldn't want any situation where a majority or even half of those members had met outside of that meeting about a topic that was then discussed in the full committee meeting. So in this case, I think we always need to make these public meetings moving forward. So that's my announcement on that. And I'll follow up with anything more about that in July.
Okay, I'll insert something, Kermit, and then we'll go to you.
Yeah.
I would like to hop onto Kelly's comments too. You know, it was never our intention to do anything that was out of what the rules were. And so definitely going forward, we will, you know, do these you know, whatever in the format of public. And I would like to just say a lot of the substance of the meetings that we had was simply just putting faces to names, introducing ourselves as the committee, and letting the staff know that putting our faces with names to them too, and just talking about how we wanted to work with them collaboratively going forward. So that was a big part of the underlying platform about why we met as well. Kermit.
Yeah, I was just wanting to get clarification from Kelly, and I think you started, but I'm just looking for a little bit more. Because we did, I think, have the understanding that we wanted to avoid a negative quorum, and we were basing that on the full maximum attendance, what the quorum would be there, and then -1. And it sounds like it's like the negative quorum could be the majority, or I'm not even sure if I'm getting the right word, but anyways, can you explain what is the rule that we should have been following, that we want to be sure to follow in the future?
Well, a negative quorum would be any number of committee members present outside of a public meeting, I believe, that would be enough to throw a vote or even cause an
So-
abstention of a vote or a
Right,
tie vote if you have the minimum number of a quorum in a meeting. So like, even though we have 10 members,
right,
it's possible that 4 could be absent, and then we would be having a meeting potentially with
Right.
6 people and then 3 who have met outside. That's how I see it,
block
but I'm also not an opens meeting law expert, and I should probably know it forwards and backwards better than I do.
So
But
it's
that's
because
what
there
I've
were
learned.
3 of us? That's it? That's because there were 3 of us? That's,
Yeah.
Yeah, but I
Were-
also think that
Were there 3, wait, I'm sorry, but were there 3 committee members, or were there 2 committee members and Kelly?
3 committee members.
There
I
were
think
committee-
not
okay,
all, there
never mind
weren't
then.
3 in every single meeting, I don't think, but generally, and I think the the intent of what we're trying to do is to not do anything behind closed doors, even
Right.
if it were 2
Yeah.
people. So
Right.
I don't know. I don't want to like squabble with anyone on what our
I'm happy
intent
to
is.
I'm happy to err on the side of transparency. I'm just wanting to
Yeah,
understand
yeah. Well,
what we misunderstood so that we can be clear
Yeah,
going forward.
Dick.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the purpose of these meetings was to have this small subgroup, I guess there was 3 of you, to meet with city staff to try to explain to them what the already approved sustainable purchasing policy was about, and the implementation of that, to help them navigate how to take it and move forward. I didn't feel like, from all the comments we've had from Laura and others, and Tony at earlier meetings, that any decisions were made that wasn't part of already the approved plan. So, I met with the city assistant engineer and a other commission member a couple years ago, just to understand where our water resources attention possibilities were. I mean, it feels like we ought to be able to at least engage with city staff to see how things that we care about and approve in our committees and commissions, how they actually work with city staff in a way that was just helping us understand things and helping them understand what we care about. So I don't understand even this issue, as long as it was three subgroup members that are taking an already approved plan and the implementation of it and how to carry it out and help city staff figure it out. Otherwise, if you just have to go to a meeting and explain it, you can't explain anything in a meeting like that to city staff who actually carry stuff out. This really frustrates me.
Yeah, I think the point is, and I appreciate your comments, Dick, because what is, I know very much to be true is that we all had the best of intentions here, thought we were going by the rules. Turns out that may not have been the case. We will adjust. All of this plan will be completely, it's already been very public. It will be very public going forward. There's nothing, there's no gray area in terms of what we're trying to do here, except for positive things for the city that work. And the community. So, we're all just doing our best here to try to move things forward. So we may have, hit a glitch based on 3 versus 2. Okay, and we'll make the meetings public going forward. It was a lot of the same things in all the meetings, and it was a lot of the substance. When I talked too long about how we just wanted to be collaborative, we wanted this to be, a working relationship. So there really actually wasn't a whole lot of really details, nitty-gritty discussed. It was more these general topics about, okay, we want to, work with you going forward. We're open to these things. We just need details, and we just said we need your help, and we want you to feel good about this plan so that it's not just a plan that sits on a shelf. It was really, there was no ill intent on any of this. So I think we can just note this and move forward. That's what I feel like. Kermit?
Just again, further clarification, has this been reviewed or confirmed with either the city manager or the city attorney, just to make sure that now that we know that there's a question that's legitimately raised, are we boiling it down to the correct interpretation and understanding?
I briefly talked with Brian Gatto this morning just to make sure that we move forward in the correct way. But I'm in Chicago right now, so I haven't had time to really sit down with someone and discuss it, and I will when I return.
Okay, so I'd ask then that we get that follow-up clarification and confirmation of this understanding, or refinement and clarification as appropriate. But it kind of makes sense to me as you've explained it, but again, I'm not an attorney either. And so I'd appreciate getting that back to us.
Brian said he would like all future meetings like this to be agended and public.
We're happy to do that.
With what's the number threshold? Like, I mean, if I bump into Dick in the street and start, I mean, that's.
Well, there may be a threshold that we could win a court case, but then again, it may not be in the best interest of how we conduct business. So
Yeah,
I can get clarification on that.
yeah, that's all I'm asking
from the
for.
attorney. Yeah.
I want to do the right thing, and it helps if I know what the right thing is. And I thought we were doing the right thing, and now I see, oh, that's an interesting. So I
Okay,
Wants
thank
to
you.
get it straight. Thanks.
Thank you, everyone. Laura, do you have any closing information on this topic?
No, hopefully the process will be done soon. That- that's where, you know, we're getting there. We're doing what we can. I don't know where I cut out, but I think we're going to have a measurement approach, and when we can get together as a small group in a legal forum, I'll give you all the details. But I think we are making good progress, and I guess that's the main thing. We're making progress, and I think we will be wrapping it up hopefully a couple months. Be done this summer maybe. Send
Wonderful.
something to council.
Wonderful, thank you. Okay.
And-
Oh,
and
go ahead, Carmen.
I just want to end on a positive note. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Christy. Thank you, Kelly. And Dean, you've been in on this too, right?
Yep.
But for pushing this through, and I'm especially glad, Laura, that we're able to help your academic program by allowing you to spend a lot of extra time pulling this thing together. So
Yeah,
thanks.
and I'll just correct you a minute, Kermit. We're not pushing anything through. Just
Yes.
do have the Middleton review on, you know,
Well,
we're not pushing
when-
anything through. We are actually really just trying to get a plan that works, you know, and that people
Right,
don't
right.
just feel like we're telling them what to do. This is like a functional plan. So that's
A figure of speech. I apologize
right,
for any
Yep.
misapprehension, but
Yep,
it's just,
I
it's been taking effort and I appreciate that effort.
understood. Yeah. Okay. So let's move on to the budget. And this is just, you know, the budget up to date as of now. And so Deb, do you want to just quickly talk about the table
Runner.
runner? I was like, is it the cloth? It's not the cloth, it's the, yes. But runners can be a thin strip. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay, so when we have events and we have a table with pamphlets on it, flyers, etc., it would be really nice to have a formalized runner that has the Middleton logo with Sustainability Committee. And if you could raise that just a little bit, then there would be a mission statement or a goal, and this was on our website. And so the cost of this runner, it's a white runner with the logo, and it would go on top of a tablecloth. And then people would be identifying this table with the Sustainability Committee and have an idea of what they might find on the table, what they could ask Kelly or whoever's there or whatever. And the idea came from the Friends of Pheasant Branch, who have the same thing with their logo. And it drew people to the table because then they knew who they were going to go talk to and see and whatever. So this is the mock-up, and the goal to meet community needs and best optimize the unique nature of Middleton. Now, my computer just sent something up for the raising my hand. I can't see the rest. Okay, nature of Middleton without compromising the well-being of future generations. So that's what's on our website. Do we want that on the runner or do we want something else? The idea was to be more general rather than specific to one specific goal, like reduce energy to be carbon neutral by a certain date, something like that. Because we have a lot of irons in the fire, so to speak. So I'm asking, what do you think about that format with that goal?
Okay. Dick?
Well, the goal to me, what does it say? I mean, we're not disagreeing with it, but I mean, our sustainability committee has a better charge for what we're trying to do. I'm not saying I could come up with it tonight, but it feels like this goal, I would think we could do better.
Okay, so we need some different wording. And that was my issue. I just, that's pretty much what sustainability, definition of sustainability is. I mean,
Yeah, I
basically.
mean, when do you need to have this thing done? I mean, it doesn't have to be done, next week, right? I mean, you're talking about doing this moving forward. Are you wanting this for sustainable you kind of events, tabling events that Kelly does? and
Yes,
things like
tabling
that?
events, yes.
Yeah.
So,
Um,
hold on, I think the point of this agenda item, Dick, I don't mean to cut you off, but I just want to clarify, is are we willing to spend the money on this tablecloth banner? Working out, and I guess it does tie in, but we could, you know, if you two or if other people want to have input on the wording, that's fine, but I think the point of this agenda item is the budget part. Is that right?
Okay, all right. I
Yeah,
thought it
well-
was to
Well,
take a
I'm all
look
in
at
favor of this thing.
what
It
it
makes
said.
total sense. I just think, I mean, Deb was asking about, do we agree with the goal? And just because it's on our website doesn't mean it's what we really want to
Yeah.
identify ourselves with. So I'm in
That's
favor
what
of
you-
spending the money, but I
Okay.
think we need a few people to put their heads together on what we want to say on it.
Okay,
Okay. If you want it for, as a budget item, the cost is going to be somewhere around $200 for the runner. And the tablecloth, I found a website that has discount tablecloths. Tablecloths were $10, you know, and you could get a couple, 3 of them, and if they get damaged, you wouldn't necessarily need to keep them because they're so inexpensive. So it's relatively low budget.
I think it's definitely worth it. Dick, or I mean, sorry, Kermit.
So I'm just wanting to clarify. So you're talking about some plain, solid color tablecloths, and then this is a runner that would be kind of laid on the table with the logo on it, and the logo would be like hanging in the front so that people could see it? Or
Okay.
what's the,
Yeah, the runner, okay, the tablecloth I'm thinking of would be that red color that's in the logo. And so the tablecloth is this way over the table. The runner goes perpendicular to it so that in the middle of the part of the tablecloth that goes from the table down toward the floor, in the center of that would be this logo with whatever words you want. And the rest of it just goes over the middle of the table to the other side. Does that make sense?
I think I'm picturing, so basically this logo would be hanging from the top of the table down towards the floor. And so, and it'd be, okay,
Yeah, so if this is the tablecloth, the runner is perpendicular coming down. you
yeah.
know,
I think
that's
it's a
not-
great idea. I think
And I
it's,
think, right,
thank you for taking this initiative, Deb.
And-
That's how I feel.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
is
I
my
could,
two-
I
is
could
my
even
two-
see us not even putting any little statement on there what the goal is, you know, I mean, just the logo, this is sustainability committee, you've got a table, you've got stuff on it, you're promoting.
Yeah.
Do we
I-
need a long
That's,
goal statement, you know?
I
that,
like
that
the
was,
goal.
that was what I was jumping,
Yeah. okay,
finishing my comments regarding. I was gonna say just the same thing. It's
Okay.
like the logo, sustainability committee, beautiful. And
Okay,
enough said.
that's,
Yeah, that's fine. The Friends have their mission statement on there, so I was kind of going along with that, but then would you want sustainability committee to be larger then, and we'll take out the rest of it, the goal?
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, Kelly, do we have an official? I thought our sustainability committee was a flat, bold
Well,
thing.
it is, but I didn't like that, so I changed it. And
Yeah.
maybe you want it flat, but it just seemed to flow better this way.
Yeah, but I think our official one is a bolder, I don't know what the font is, but it's a bolder. This says Sustainability Committee. So it's basically our official Sustainability Committee logo. It takes the city logo and it puts underneath it what our committee is. And I'm glad Kermit and we don't always agree on everything, but this is one I think we can agree on. Less is better. And just make it a nice little thing, a runner, like you say, it hangs over the table. and whatever you're doing that night, the sustainability committee is supporting it. It's implicit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so yes, to-
What do other people feel about it? I mean,
I think either is fine. I don't.
Yeah.
have any, but I think definitely in favor of going ahead with it. And again, Deb,
Yeah.
thank you for doing this.
Yeah, great idea, Deb.
Yeah, okay, moving forward. Work initiatives.
Is there anything- Oh, I'm sorry, there, under operating budget review,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
um.
you're right. I guess I
last-
didn't ask for other ones.
Last time, I think we also talked some about whether we should apply some funds to upgrading or modifying the website. And I'm not wanting to lose track of that as an item. I am in part following up with the question. I think I'd sent an email to Kelly and our communications guru on the city staff, asking like, what could we do? I think I was trying to get to the point of like, what can we do to improve the website? What would make sense? Separate from the question of can we change the banner, but you know, just in general, because I think the website could benefit from some design attention.
I have not heard any follow-up on that.
Now, and I don't know, Kelly, did you have anything, or I
No, I don't know. I would prefer Brent to help with the website. I don't think it would cost money beyond the banners. I think it would be more just time and attention to how you set it up. The website has sort of limited capabilities, and we can't, you know, hire out a consultant because it's a template that it's of the platform we use. But I know Brent has worked with Parks and Rec, and I think their website's looking a lot nicer, and he's standardized a lot of things,
Yeah.
made things clearer, not so wordy. So those are things we could work on. It won't
Yeah.
happen in, you know, like 2 weeks.
yeah.
And I'd like him to take the lead on that, but definitely it's something I would like to work with Brent on.
Okay, yeah, and that's basically, you know, as far as I'm concerned, I don't want to necessarily spend more money, but if it takes some money, then let's see what we can allocate for that. And so that, I don't know what the next formal step should be, whether Kelly's just, you need to sit down and chat with Brent sometime, and sometime the next couple of months before the end of the year, we'll find out if we need to pay for any particular features or upgrades.
I don't think there's anything you can pay to upgrade. I think it's literally someone using what we have and
Well, there was something about the banner, you
just
can't
the
change the
banners.
picture.
Yeah,
is
just the banners cost money. That feature costs a one-time fee through the website. And then changing the website, as Brent's done with Parks and Rec, is just time, staff time.
Okay. Good. Oh.
Laura?
that's-
I just had a question about like the utility flyer insert. Like we had 2,700 budgeted and we spent 700. Does that mean that we have enough,
Oh, yeah.
I guess, money? If that's accurate, then does that mean we have more money to spend on maybe a fall flyer? And I'm just thinking about a lot of the stuff that came up in the last meeting was about getting the word out, communicating more, especially on salt wise and things. Could we do, I don't know, either a fall insert or something along those lines of educating the public through different channels? It looks like we got almost $2,000 to spend on education.
You're absolutely right, Laura. And so actually in the last meeting, last month's meeting, one of the things, for example, that was committed to us was by Brent saying he would look at remember the e-billing. He offered kindly to check to see about the e-billing and could we, after Alder Schaefer said, I don't get the paper bills, I didn't get the paper insert, could you make sure that that gets in the e-bill? And then Brent said he would follow up on that, but I haven't heard anything on that. And I just actually, anyway, still waiting on follow up from that. And some of the things we talked about last time. So other budget items? I don't think so. Okay.
Well,
I
we're
do
gonna
just have a
talk about,
question about,
Christie,
please.
we're gonna talk about the Good Neighbor Fest coming up, so.
Yeah,
that's-
sure, go
that's a
ahead.
Big item, so.
Yep, go for it.
Oh,
Do
now?
You want to talk about it now? I mean, we can certainly do that.
Oh, well, okay. I did get some figures. Last year, we ordered 1,000 bags that were fold-ups, and they were about $1.70 a piece, and an additional 15 cents for them to fold 1,000 bags. We decided that was well worth it. 15 cents each. And there was a setup fee of $65. This year, they're going to be about $2.15 or so. The price has gone up per bag, but she's just estimating at Wildwood Productions. And so that would be like $22.10 for the bags. If we want to get T-shirts, and that's another thing that we have to ask people on this committee, how many are willing to commit to being in the Good Neighbor Fest parade so that we know. We also are thinking about getting students either from or both from Middleton High School Green Team, maybe our new high school liaison, our committee member, could get some kids lined up for the August parade, as well as middle school, Comrie Middle School. When they got their Sustainable Middleton Award this year, there were several kids, and Dick asked if they would be interested in doing this, and they were excited at that time anyway. So we're hoping that we can get some of the middle school kids as well. But that means it'd be nice to have them in T-shirts. And so if Kelly could take inventory of the leftover T-shirts that we have, we did purchase some for high school kids last year, and they didn't come to the parade, at least not to our portion of the parade. So we had their T-shirts left over. And also the new committee members, if they want a T-shirt, we may have your size already at City Hall. But they're $20 each, and there's no screen charge. So if we wanted to, or if we needed to order new T-shirts, that would be an additional $20 per T-shirt.
Okay.
Dick, anything else I'm missing?
No, I think you pretty well covered it. It helps for the branding idea of our committee to get everybody that's in the parade to all have that dark red Sustainable Middleton T-shirt. They look nice, and I think we're all wearing them. It shows that we're, really in this together, and I think it's worth extra $20. And like Deb's saying, we have quite a few left over, I think, and we just need an inventory of what we got. The middle school students, as Deb mentioned, I said something to them as we were walking out of the awards ceremony, and you could tell the enthusiasm was there. They think this is cool, and they don't have summer jobs. They don't have other things that they're normally in the parade on. They're not in the band, for example, or they're not on the tennis team. And I think having this green team from the high school, those of you that maybe weren't aware of the ceremony, I don't know what, there were 7 or 9 of them that came along with their advisors, and they stood up, and you could tell that The audience was thrilled to see that many kids. The council was thrilled. The mayor was smiling like unbelievably behind it. So getting, maybe we'd have even better success engaging the middle school green team kids than we've had the last year or two with the high school. You know, once Daphne was no longer coordinating it, we had a lot of trouble last year. Shreya, was it last year or 2 years ago? The only one we had was Shreya. So I guess it was last year, just Shreya.
It was last year.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, getting t-shirts for enough small t-shirts for the middle school, I think that's about what we'd want. It's not going to be a huge cost. So I think our $2,500 budget item, we've got posters, we've got banners. We might find a couple kids that I know, particularly my neighbor who made that dripping earth one. I'm trying to talk to her about another poster, but they're not that much money. I think $2,500 is a pretty solid budget item. And again, having 1,000 bags to hand out, they were a big hit and they're easy to distribute because they're all folded. You can lightly toss them. We don't throw them. Somebody said, don't throw the bags. We lightly toss them like a beanbag toss, a little underhanded, you know. So the crowd wanted them, and it's a real statement that we're giving out something that is a sustainable thing. And Laura, I'm sorry, but we're not going to open them all up after paying 15 cents and insert a flyer in them. I'm just sorry, but you could do it if you wanted.
I think I'll
So-
pass on the carpal tunnel.
So
Yeah.
with that, could I ask, it's the 25th of August, and we got there around, I don't know, 11:15 or so to line up for the parade. The parade started at noon. We were there for an hour, hour and a half at the most. So could I get a show of hands? Who's going to commit to be in our portion of the parade? I see Kelly, I see Dick, I see me, I
Lily.
see, oh, Laura, okay. All right, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, looks like. Okay, thank you.
Okay. So is that do you have more on the Good Neighbor Fest, or are we good there?
Well, one thing, Kelly, you'd have to arrange to get the city car again and drive it, I'm assuming. We have the static cling signs that we've used. I'm assuming you can still use them, put them on. And using the city all electric car, it's a dark blue. If it's clean, and it's I think it's a statement we want. We
Yeah.
won't have Kermit running around running into us on his bicycle this time. That's always fun, and taking candid photos one-handed. So you're good at that, Kermit.
Yeah. I
And,
can't,
and sign us up. Don't forget to sign us up for the
Yeah.
parade.
So I think what we've heard is Deb is gonna get ready to order 1,000 bags of same as last year. And we just need to have an inventory, Kelly. You're in Chicago. Are you gonna be able to get an inventory for us on the t-shirts soon, or are you leaving for England or what?
I leave for England next weekend and I get back on Wednesday, so it'll be tight, but we'll see. I'm kind of scrambling these last few days with
Well, it'd just be
projects.
nice to know how many t-shirts we have to order, because they have to go in with the bag.
Yeah,
order.
that's true. Okay, yeah,
Oh.
I can count them.
Yeah, thanks.
so I can't be there, but I still am offering my electric lawnmower. If anyone wants it, I just read an article, and I suppose it's true with a subset of people, that it's the gateway into electrification. People think, oh, I didn't really know this. This works great. So if
Yeah.
anyone wants to push my electric lawnmower in the parade, it's available.
But doesn't it have power drive? Do you have to push it?
Is this one a but I mean, it's easy. It's on wheels. It's a walker, I mean, so it's available if anyone wants to walk with it. Okay, so we handled Good Neighbor Festival. Anything more on that?
No.
And Deb, I'm sorry I mentioned that about the budget. We could have combined the wording and the graphics with the budget. Sorry about that. I kind of forgot it was down below. But I think we handled that. Are you confident? Are you comfortable with the way it was ended? Okay, thank you. Okay. And then green team. Oh, well, I guess we'll quickly cross that off. Let's see. So then the green team, we will be getting a new member, and Kelly, is that right? It's going to potentially be voted on at the next council meeting?
Yes, the mayor put it on will be putting it on the agenda for the next council meeting to approve an appointment for the high school voting member.
Okay,
Yeah, Christie, I need to interject something
Yeah,
there. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
If we are really dependent on getting green team members, if there's only 4 of us in the parade and Kelly driving the car, that's just 3 of us, and there's no way we can hand bags out. We can't even carry the banners. We need 4 to carry the banners. So we're gonna have to, Deb and I are gonna be working on drumming up as much student help as we can. But if it falls out that there just isn't enough students that want to do this, then we're going to have to scrap. And we need, probably before Deb orders all the shirts, Deb and I were talking about this afternoon, we got to find out, do we have enough people to be in the parade and do what we're talking about?
I can find out and I don't know if you have access to the contact information, Kelly. I don't, but I can find it out. That you could contact that person who I believe is going to be voted on. I think he was on a meeting last time. You could reach out to him now and ask him, even if for some reason, he's not approved as a committee member, does he still want to be in the parade? I bet he would. And then correct me if I'm wrong, you mentioned that the middle school students, you could contact them through the primary.
Yeah, we're already doing the middle school contact.
Yeah, okay, so,
Today.
okay, so I'm happy to find his contact information.
Yeah.
If that's helpful, and then you can just start working on that with him ASAP. It sounds like he's just has his thing is networky kind of thing. That's more of his, I guess, activity.
Yeah,
that
we'll
he
get the
does.
contact from you, and then Deb and I will start talking with them and just
Got it.
explain to what it's about, because we got to find out if the high school has green team members that want to be in this because they're not busy somewhere
Yeah,
else
yeah,
and
yeah.
believe in it.
Okay,
Because we need to find that out in the next couple of weeks and get the things ordered or not. We
yeah,
don't want to spend $2,000 for a bunch of bags that we don't use this year.
yeah. Okay,
But they do want the order in early enough that they can have time to fold all the bags, because they said they had less staff this year.
okay. Okay, speaking of, so I'll try to get that ASAP and get it over to you. Speaking of volunteers, Kelly, do you want to go to the paper shred event, and you need volunteers too? And maybe we hit up the new member for both.
Yeah, the paper shred event is this Friday from 3 to 5 at the recycling center. And I'll be there. Marty, who works at the recycling center, will be there. And there's going to be one street crew member who can help. But it would be usually we have a whole slew of high school students who help, but their volunteer hours are no longer a requirement. So that really, I think, stopped a lot of the volunteer efforts after school's out for that. So if there's anyone who would be willing to volunteer, even if it's just for an hour, it's really helpful for traffic, to help traffic get where they're going. You have to turn into the Parmenter Street entrance, but then you have to get them up the hill and circle them the right direction around to the Pelletier trucks that do the shredding. It waxes and wanes, so it's really busy at the beginning, and then it tapers off.
Herman, any 350 people that might?
Oh,
Love you.
we could throw a question that way. I'm kind of doubtful, but it's not out of the question. I'll pass it along.
Okay,
Kevin.
okay.
But yeah, as far as me personally, yeah, this is what went, we're talking on, did you say the 14th or 5th?
14th on Friday.
Okay, yeah. So I'm out of town myself, otherwise I might. If it,
Okay, okay, so we'll see about the high school student. Maybe he would, I mean, it's at the Middleton Recycling Center. I would think some of them would like to do that. So the next item is the Sustainable You. So upcoming events, we want to go over those and the hosting duties.
Okay, we have Kathy Kuntz that's coming this month. We have, unfortunately, we ended up with two talks this month rather than having them spread out a little more, but the library books very, very early. So I can be at that one and be the host. The next one coming up is Kathy Kuntz in August 15th, I think it is. And she's going to be talking about the IRA for homeowners. And I'm going to be in Scotland. So I'm going to need a host for that event
In August?
in
Wow.
August.
I could do that one.
Okay, thank you. And I think I can do the next two, the electric cars and the sustainable home ownership or development, sustainable development for single family homes.
Okay,
meeting, and I've been tied up in meetings all day and the door was locked.
hey Kermit, you're actually, we can hear you. There you go.
Sorry.
There you go. Okay. So I think that concludes our agenda. And Kermit, you actually had something.
Yeah, let me see here. I made a note. Yeah, I was gonna suggest that we put on the agenda for, could be next meeting if there's an opening as far as slot, but just doing some discussion, maybe brainstorming, you want to call it, but what are we going to do to get the rest of the city to move forward on these energy goals, these clean
Yeah.
energy goals? And I think we need to start looking at that more seriously because, you know, city government's on board, taking care of city issues. We seem to be making good headway there, but I don't see that we have a plan in place to meet the goals with the city across the board, and I think we need to work on that.
Okay. I was just trying to look, what date is the July meeting, Kelly? Because we're a week ahead here. So that would be
It'll be the third Monday of the month
Third
at
Monday.
6:30. Yeah.
15th. Oh, yeah. Oh, no. Okay. I see that's where my calendar, I have to add it to my own calendar. Okay. Thank you. All right. Unless anyone has anything else, I think we can adjourn the meeting. I don't think we need to vote on that, so I will, barring no objections, I think we can call the meeting adjourned. Right, Kermit?
Yep,
Okay,
as long as the meeting is adjourned, nobody's complaining, okay, the meeting's adjourned.
thank you very much, everyone. I appreciate your discussion.